Hello, everybody. Good evening. I hope we are visible, audible, and all the other things that we're supposed to be in an online session. We'd just love to go ahead and see a couple of people reply in the chat box, and we can kickstart. And I'll also take this opportunity to invite everybody else here. We've got Sazil, Jijo, Ravi, Shivku. We've got a full-fledged squad here. Half of a cricket side is already here during a T20 match where Pakistan once again hasn't started well, by the way. Perfect. Hey, good evening, guys. So, guys, welcome to this session. Welcome to. I think we met last week where we'd gone ahead and spoken a little bit about the open mock. We've gone ahead and analyzed the open mock. We at that point in time there were a lot of questions coming that, sir, is this the right time to start taking mocks? My syllabus is not over, and a lot of us spoke about a lot of things related to that. And Sazil mentioned at that point in time as well that we'll bring you a session very specific to mocks, talking about the mock taking strategy, talking about the importance of mocks, talking about whether there is anything called syllabus and whether you should be waiting to kickstart your mocks and so on and so forth. So, welcome to a session where we'll go ahead and delve a little deeper into that. I'll hand it over to Sazil to take it forward. Sazil, over to you.
All right. Today's agenda that we have is very simple. We have a lot of common queries that we are going to cover as far as the topic goes. We have different stages of mock tests that exist and how it is planned, right? What should be the attempt strategy? Which stage are you a part of is another thing that we'll be discussing. Attempt strategy. How much should you attempt? Ideally, how not to attempt too many questions and get too many wrong, and vice versa. So then how to analyze mocks? This is going to be a focus, and going forward, mistakes to avoid. So a lot of students who make mistakes, common mistakes that we make. So what all mistakes to avoid? And that is what the agenda is going to be. So let's begin immediately, and all of us can take up these questions one by one. So first question we have covered in the previous session as well, and we repeated because we keep getting this question. When should I start giving mocks? So I think we have answered this enough number of times, but I'm sure a lot of new users, viewers are there in the session. When is the right time to start giving mocks?
So first of all, I think we should.
Jijo, please.
First of all, should we start taking mocks? We give the mock, they take the mock. Okay.
They take mocks.
So,
I was just about to say that. You're taking or writing.
ये वो हिंदी में होता ना मॉक देना, वो देने को ट्रांसलेट करके गिविंग लिख दिया है. I guess that's where it is.
All right. So, but when should I start taking the mocks? Is when you decided to take the CAT, because the starting point of your preparation should be to figure out where you are. So if I, for example, if I'm preparing, preparing for a test which is completely skill based, not knowledge based. It's not a set of knowledge that I have to study. It's about skills that I have to develop, right? Whether it is VLR, VRC, or DLR, or even QA. There is a little bit of knowledge involved, but it's also about skill in terms of how do I navigate the question, or how can I use certain problem solving skills. So the first day you should take a mock should be the day you decided to prepare for CAT. So that is what is going to tell you exactly where you are. And then you would obviously during the period of your preparation at various stages you want to take a note in terms of where you are, what kind of skill you develop, where you are, what are the things that you got to do, because practically saying that technically the syllabus exists only for maths. So if there is some syllabus that exists, but for about 66% of the paper, I don't know, there's no syllabus per se. So definitely there's no syllabus. For syllabus, when I say chapters, that's what I'm assuming syllabus. Obviously, there are some structure type of questions that they ask. So that will be my answer to that question.
Okay. So I think the question is evident one. So ये 2-3 महीने पहले से question चल रहा है. We started our first mock on 27th or 28th of March, if I remember right. And at that time, this question was even relevant to answer, right? मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि at this stage, this question is a non-existent question. Everyone should be appearing mocks by now. Everyone should have taken 3 mocks by now. right? If you started the preparation right now, you should start taking mocks right away. Which brings
Another,
us to the
so
huh.
sorry, one small thing that I want to add is that the issue is not like I start giving mock. People have started taking the mocks. The issue is they stopped it. So after taking about one test or two, to decided now let me do number two. Okay, so I took a particular mocks. Then nahi hua kuch score. I took the next one. Nahi hua. Then I decided I'm just going to stop this process till I do number two. So that is also a context that we need to address. Which please carry on, Sasi.
Actually, you're right. So a lot of students go this way. That पहला mock दिया sir आपके कहने पे. You
Hmm.
told us and we appeared for the mock. And after that, the kind of result I got, I thought I'll wait for 6 months and then I'll. But then by that time, CAT will be over. So by the time you feel prepared, CAT हो चुका होगा. It would be done. So yeah, a very very relevant question. So which brings us to the second one. In case anyone wants to add, Ravi, Shivku, please do. GB. Uh, should I wait until I complete my entire syllabus? So I think Jijo has already talked about it that syllabus to hai nahi, except in Quant, there's no other nothing called syllabus. Everything experiential syllabus, what we've experienced in the past couple of years is what is becomes a syllabus, right?
And when if you listen to Ravi Teja has still not completed the syllabus. He has taken the cat some हमने 8 से कितना साल हो गया पता नहीं अभी भी चल रहा है उसका
I think
syllabus.
seven times zero.
Yeah.
Never completed the syllabus.
So when do you plan to complete your syllabus, Ravi?
It's a never-ending process.
it's
I
it's
mean,
it's
I'm
good.
pretty sure Jijo has never completed the syllabus of VIRC either. I mean, next year Cat will pick some random passage from some random source, and Jijo will say a rant about it on the Cat day. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
It's good at least you're talking about not finishing. I still don't know what the syllabus is. Forget finishing it.
Great. So, no, of course, all the jokes here, but what we are trying to tell you essentially is that you should have started taking mocks. You should have started attempting mocks. You should have started analyzing mocks. There should be at least a basic preliminary strategy in place for now to move on to the next one, right? So that is where you should be. Some of you who are just starting off with the course, do not wait for this any syllabus to get over or anything to move. Start working on it. These are two parallel lines, right? One is the prep and one is the test mocks, right? These two will go parallel to each other all the way till November or even after for the other exams, right? So maybe if you're taking ZAT, so January tak it'll go on. So so the first three questions are answered there. If there is nothing more to add from the other mentors, let's go to the fourth and fifth one. So fourth one first. How many mocks should I attempt before CAT? How many mocks are the right number of mocks that will get me there?
इसको थोड़ा मैथ्स कर लेते हैं. So for
Please.
example, if I'm going to take the mocks, that's going to be 2 hours, right? And if I'm someone who is going to do the right kind of analysis, which we'll discuss later, so I'm going to redo all the questions once again. This time I'm going to do questions that I did not solve. I'm going to get stuck with a DLR set for about 1 hour, maybe half an hour. So if I were to genuinely solve all the questions once again, that will take me another, let's say, easily 4 or 5 hours. At least in the beginning, I'm sure. Later on, can introduce. That's another 4 to 5 hours. Then I'm going to look at all the solutions. I'm going to watch all the video solutions. ये सब ऐड करते करते मेरे हिसाब से ये तो 8-10 घंटा है एक मॉक के पीछे. And then उसके बाद I will list down the 3-4 things that I want to work on. So basically, one mock is like about exercise. When you take about look at mocks, it's at least about 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours exercise in the beginning. So let's now count how many hours do I have? So how many months do I have? I think we have how many days?
We have about
100
150 days approximately.
150 days. 150 days.
Hmm.
I think that probably let's take about 3 hours of preparation. 4 hours I could put every single day. I don't know how many hours people will put. If I take 3 hours, that's about 450 hours. अगर मैं एक ढंग से if I want to dedicate a lot of time in terms of my mock and each mock taking about 10, इधर मतलब 30 आज के डेट से मतलब about 20, I would probably say शिव को 15. Okay. my count my count is about 15 में ढंग से करेंगे, 15 से सीखना है. So I think the problem that happens is when people end up see there might be certain students whose issues are already sorted. Malab is they're already hitting, let's say, scores of 100 plus, 110 plus, and their noise and voice is there a lot. Okay, so their analysis period will be very very less. So they end up taking more number of tests. But the key is that I think anything above 30 will be will be counterproductive. But then you're going to reduce the time of analysis. So I think about 20, 15, 20, 30 max. शिव को बस ये मेरा नंबर है. Hmm?
So what
And it
we have
also
also,
depends on I think there are two categories of people. No, somebody who's taking it for the first time, somebody who's taken it the second time. Maybe some people have already appeared for CAT a couple of times. I think each one is in a different learning curve. So for the guy who's taken it a couple of times, I mean, you must have just taken a little bit of a break from the past CAT, figure out where all you kind of goofed up, थोड़ा बहुत तैयारी करनी थी, और then I think June end is where I think you must hit the pedal really hard. So if you're here the title is says 99 percentile 99 percentile पहुंचने के लिए, if you haven't started now, I think you're a little late.
But शिवकू अगर 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 किसी ने 2 साल में कैट लिखा है हुआ नहीं है, but something
हाँ,
would have been a problem last couple of times, right?
correct.
I think irrespective of that, I think whether somebody has taken the cat once, cat twice, I'm just saying that it all depend upon how many the amount of time that you want to put in analysis and learning.
Absolutely, the process.
That determines number of mocks, and also it also looks at कितना पानी में है each areas, right? So I think the number could be 15, 20, 30. But when you start, I think I've seen people hitting 50. I don't know how people can take 50 mocks and all. नहीं लेते. I think people collect all this mock together and don't take it, I think.
so
A
that is
lot of
exactly what I was going to say.
lot of people believe in going through this ritual of taking a test, right? कर लिया, analyze नहीं किया, ठीक है, हो गया, right? It's like ticking the box. But if I've come across a couple of people, I mean, who have done about 60 mocks, but their ritual was take a test, do some 6 hours of analysis, take a test, 6 hours of analysis. This is guys who have actually had um, attempted pretty seriously or prepared seriously for CAT earlier time. So, but that's a very rare stock.
So I think there is also a lot of crazy amount of polls and crazy kind of polls happening in the test series groups as well. I mean, people who are starting off, or even when you enter that zone last 2-3 months, no, towards September, there will be people who are, I want to take a mock. Which one should I write? CDC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and poll check. I mean, basically, you are depending on other people's opinion of how a particular mock was, and you want to take probably, and depending on their choices, you are deciding, okay, I'll play on Ahmedabad wala pitch only. It doesn't work like that. If your New York pitch is in front of you, you have to change your game accordingly. The mocks that are there as a platform, if we are providing, let us say, 30 mocks, the point is to make sure that you are going through all types of emotions through the while taking the mocks. I mean, you're put in various different types of scenarios, and you're well versed with adjusting with all of those scenarios.
The one other thing that also happens around with the mock, there are also section tests, no? There are the next n number of section tests. So I think all put together, the number of tests that each one section, the number of tests that you take should ideally be based on the need and what they believe is critically important for each one. So I think that is
Jijo,
important. No?
one more thing we discussed last session, which is very relevant here, is previous year question papers need to be solved. वो भी, that is also provided. That's apart from the 30 mocks. So अगर वो भी करने जाएगा बच्चा, he'll have enough mocks to do. So sectional tests, mock tests, and previous year question
नहीं
papers.
करने के लिए बहुत है सुशील.
So so this is so don't go into the business of collecting questions, collecting material. Don't do that, right? जो है उसको पहले let's sort it out, right? And then if you require, then we'll talk about that.
Hey, you only lose when you do army training for a cricket World Cup. You need to prepare for cricket. Stay focused. Focus on that. You'll do well.
All right. So on that note, let's move to the next slide. Right. What is the definition of a CAT mock? So what is it? Is it an assessment tool? Is it a learning tool? Is it an admission test? What is it? Right. In my opinion, it is a screening test. It is a rejection test. So technically, a lot of students think that CAT में selection होता है. CAT में selection नहीं होता है. So CAT is not a selection test; it's a rejection test. So you're preparing for the rejection test, basically, so that you don't get rejected. So that is how I look at it. But what are your definitions of the CAT mock?
लर्निंग ऑफ कोर्स, मतलब कैट मॉक किसको रिजेक्ट कर रहा है, मतलब क्या द
CAT
प्रॉब्लम इज,
reject कर रहा है.
हाँ, तो मतलब द प्रॉब्लम दैट हैपेंस विद मॉक, पब्लिक खुद को रिजेक्ट करना शुरू करता है, मेरा औकात नहीं है, मेरे से होगा नहीं है, दैट इज गोइंग टू बी द प्रॉब्लम. इट्स अ लर्निंग टूल, नो. So at the end of the day, the name mock is bad name. So mock is kind of saying that it's actually mocking, or actually it's kind of replicating a scenario of the cat. So I think it's a name that it got stuck. Let's stick to the particular name. But at the end of the day, these are simply test tools which gives a tremendous opportunity to learn. I mean, for instance, that if somebody is going to take, let's say, 30 mocks, okay, I'm also counting. There are, let's talk about DILR. There are within the CAT from 2017 till 2023, there are 99 sets available. 99 DLR sets available in CAT, actual CAT wala set. And then if somebody is going to take, let's say, I'm just putting a number of 30. Somebody is taking 30, including section test, whatever. What 30 marks? 30 into 4, that is 120. 120 DLR sets plus 100 from CAT. That's about 220 very high quality set of questions. And each of these CAT mocks, and I'm sure that there is somebody like Ravi or GB or Shivku or GP or is actually giving a solution to this test. So if I pick this 120 set in itself, and then think about this, my learning opportunity, it's tremendous learning opportunity. It's a maths में every single टेस्ट के बाद जीपी का जुगाड़ सॉल्यूशन होता है, नॉर्मल सॉल्यूशन भी होता है. ये तो कितना सवाल कर सकता है. So the moment we start thinking that mock is a reflection of our capability, story over. Then the only thing that is going to happen after every single mock is sit and cry, or then and say that yaar how we snap, ऐसा वाला सवाल शुरू होगा. Okay, so if in my mind, so how many cases have we seen the people having very low the percentile rank or score eventually making it, because if you stick to the, don't worry about the outcomes, whether the outcome is good bad is irrelevant. Do what is right. What is important is a process. The process is important. So I believe that absolutely there is no denial that the mock tests are definitely a learning tool, and if we keep that as a perspective, and then life will be much more simpler. That's what I would say.
Right. Anything to add? So I want to put this one question up here. I find it very interesting. Milestones for mocks. After 5 mocks, what should be my state? And then next 5, aiming for ABC. So I think
तो
it depends
state
also where you are. Go on, Jiju, please.
so sorry, state मतलब ये पूछ रहा है उसका स्कोर कितना होना चाहिए, या ना. I think that is what he's assuming. मतलब if you tell me score 100 होना चाहिए, that's the easy. Why 5 marks? I think that eventually अपने को भी we should be able to solve about 50% of the questions in the mock test. That is the state that I should have. Now I will also ask this particular question, is that if without any time limit, if you redo all the questions, I'm sure that if somebody is aiming for ABC, you should be able to get that kind of score. So when I'm putting this number of 100, I think there is the state has to be the state, I believe, has to be the state of mind which says, irrespective of whatever the score that I'm seeing on the screen, irrespective of whatever the score that I'm getting out of the 5 marks, my state of mind says that I would continue this fight. I'll continue this effort. I'll keep on picking up learning. I might peak at after 20 marks, 30 marks. My score may not even, I would not have seen 99 percentile rank any time in any of the particular mock test. But CAT is a very different day. CAT is that particular day things worked out for me. So I think that instead of looking at arbitrary milestones of scores and saying that just because you got a particular score somewhere, it's going to be good or bad, I think the process, I mean, let me repeat, I'm repeating the same thing. So the process of taking the test and the process of learning keeps on going. And you will see this is going to, I'm sure that we have seen it. No, all the topper score is always going to be up and down. It's go up, it'll go down, because every single mock is giving a new kind of challenge. Not every single mock is exactly the same test. So you have different type of challenges. Sometimes the VRC is difficult, some the VR is easy, some the DLR. So this score fluctuation will happen. So every test is an opportunity to learn. That's what I would say to the student.
So,
and I wish you the very best and ensure that you do enough to go to ABC. That's
So, quickly summarizing this, what is the purpose of CAT mocks? You familiarize yourself with the mocks, you understand the exam pattern, right? वो तो हो ही चुका होगा, you would have done that. To learn the art of leaving questions. Now, this is a very important one. Which questions to pick up and which questions to let go, and when to let go them. Let go the questions. Do I waste too much time on a question before I decide to move on? So that is exactly what you need to get acquainted with, that process, right? Because initially it takes a lot of time. There's a lot of ego. We keep saying कि ego chodo, leave the ego aside, and don't challenge yourself that you want to do that question then and there, right? You can do it later on, but not in CAT. You move on and do other questions which you can. So that is an art that you have to learn, and that will only happen by practice of mocks. To assess your strengths and weaknesses, so you can work on your weaknesses and maybe fortify your strengths, right? So that is what the purpose is. To identify your speed and time taken on each question, what strategy works for you, and improve your test taking skills in all. So that this is the purpose of taking CAT mocks, and we are all agreeing on that. So if this is what it is about. I'm so sorry. Okay, so stages of mock. GB, what do you think? We will take students through the stages of mock in your way.
Yeah. So I'll first answer a couple of queries that I think came up in the chat box. Very similar kind of queries. Somebody stating, "So I'm not able to perform in DILR, not able to select which set to start with, and hence waste a lot of time in the first set. Then get anxious, not able to solve any set. How to choose DILR set?" Then there is somebody else who's saying, "Sir, how to select a good set to start with in DILR?" So I think then there is another one who's stating the same thing. So how do I know how to kickstart my DILR preparation? So a lot of questions coming with respect to DILR, with respect to picking up the right set. Um, Yes, I think it's important during a mock to have the ability to pick up a right set. But if you're unable to do that at this point in time, my question once again to everybody would be that most of y'all who are writing this would have written 2, 3, 4 mocks. How did you analyze after the very first mock? Say I was not able to pick up the right set in the first mock. And then I went from one set to another to the third and fourth, and eventually attempted nothing. Attempted one question, two questions, ended up with say a -1 or a -2. What did you do after that? What was your analysis like? Did you sit down and then tell yourself, okay, let me resolve this entire paper, giving myself 3 hours? Now that I have 3 hours, I will go ahead and I will look at the DI section. If one set takes me 1 hour, I will go ahead put that in. If it takes me 1.5 hours, I'll put that in. If it takes me 2 hours, I'll put that in. The whole point being, can I identify how to solve the set? Can I get an adrenaline rush of having solved the set? Can I go ahead and be confident of the fact that when I am given adequate amount of time, whatever that adequate amount of time is, I am able to solve the set? Do I have the confidence within me that okay, set karna aata hai, timing is an issue, I will go ahead and resolve that? So I think that's the first thing that students should go ahead and do. And that brings me back to your entire cat mock, the stages of a cat mock. uh, if you go ahead and look at it, we are saying the stage 1 is pre-preparation, stage 2 is during the preparation, stage 3 is 1 to 4 months before the examination, and finally we're talking about 4 weeks before the examination. There's another way to look at it, and that way is what Jijo stated. The day you said I want to go ahead and prepare for cat, in and around that time, the best way would have been to go ahead and take a mock. Just see where I am today with respect to everybody, what this exam is, what are 2 hours like, what does it take to sit for 40 minutes, 40 minutes, 40 minutes at a stretch, what it takes to start off a mathematics section after 80 minutes. How I feel, so that you understand these intangibles, you're able to understand what are the problems that I'm faced with. So that to me is stage 1. There will be many students out here who would turn around and say, yeah, I practice a lot of quant, but come the mock, I am unable to attempt too much. The question there that you need to answer is, how many times have you practiced quant after being totally mentally drained for 80 minutes at a stretch, which is going to happen in your cat exam? Have you been in a situation where you turn around and state, I'm how about practicing, at home? When you practice, start with verbal, move to DLR, move to quant, start with verbal, move to DLR, move to quant. Why not tell or equip your mind in such a way that quant will be something that I will attack only when I know that my mind is occupied, it has done something. Because preparing with a fresh mind and then going ahead and writing a mock, and suddenly in the 82nd minute you start off with the quant question and you're like, oh, this is Hebrew and Greek to me. I just had a very poor DILR section where I couldn't identify which set to solve. Solved one set, borrowed one guest. I have no idea what is going to happen. And here there is an entire quant section that I need to solve. So I think that is the first thing that you need to identify, which is what should be the takeaways from this entire journey of mock taking. And the takeaways are not only scores, the takeaways are also whether I'm able to handle these intangibles. Second intangible to look at is, am I able to understand that the exam would be at 8:30, 12:30, 4:30? You don't know which slot you will get eventually. The CDC Pro mocks, which are about to start, one has happened, more will happen. The CDC Pro mocks are specifically created in such a way that you go ahead and write that exam in 3 days just in these slots. Interchange your slots. Write something at 8:30, write something at 12:30, write something at 4:30. Till CAT, you should have reached a situation where one third of your mocks were at 8:30, one third at 12:30, one third at 4:30. Now, when the admit card comes, you have 1 month to go. Hopefully, you've got another 7, 6, 7 mocks to go. Take 2 mocks every week, 3 weeks before CAT. Take it in the slot of the exam. So I think these intangibles are something that you need to identify. Obviously, during preparation stage, stage 2, stage 3, which you're saying during preparation, 1 to 4 months before the examination and so on and so forth, the funda eventually is at every stage, turn around and state what my takeaway is going to be. So for me, stage 1 takeaways, I identify what the issues are that I need to look at. Stage 2 takeaways, okay, I understand where I am as of today. I might be at a 30 percentile, 40 percentile, 50 percentile. One additional question, where do I go? One additional question, where do I go? That mindset, and focusing every month, one additional question, one additional question. And finally, at stage 3, that's where I would turn around and start stating, now start looking at marks. 3 months before CAT, sitting in the month of July, August, start looking at marks. How much am I scoring? Am I getting am I getting 50? Am I getting 60? Am I getting 70? Am I getting there? And finally, 4 weeks before the examination, it's about ensuring you're writing it in that slot. So quite a long answer, long way to get to the answer. But yeah, that would be my take, Sazil.
Yep.
I'll just add a
Anything?
little to this, Sazil.
Yep.
The way I would look at any preparation for the next 4 months or 5 months is, I think when you build your skills, I think it reflects in incremental increases in your score. So to me, I would always say my first milestone is, do I always crack those 50 marks in whatever be the type of paper that you give? I mean, I will definitely get this 50. If that is happening consistently, then you probably kind of shift. So, and what does 50, getting 50 means? Getting 17 questions, net 17 questions, right? And then how do I incrementally shift that milestone a little to about a 60 mark, and then slowly to 70? If somebody is thinking about a 99 percentile, right, I'm sure that you should be looking at, at least targeting, saying that uh, 70 is probably what my scores are going to be. So there, I mean, I believe that every hour of very thorough analysis and the learnings that you take from your analysis, I think will add incrementally. Maybe I don't know whether it's 0.25 marks or 1 mark. It is definitely going to add significant value to your preparation. So analysis is something that is very crucial. Somebody does 30 mocks and does analyze every one of them, I'm sure that you can incrementally push. Even if your score is at 30, 35 now, I'm sure you can easily push it by about 50%, 50 to 60%. Somebody is at 45, 50, I'm sure you can push it by about 20 marks. If you have, you are able to take the learnings from your analysis, whether you keep a very good log of your learnings, revise, right, go back to looking at the questions again. uh, you know DI is going to be different every time, RC is going to be very different every time. So there, it's going to be the skills. Quant is one thing I feel is easier to pick up, because it is, lot of it is algorithmic. This type of questions you'll get it, this type of questions you apply this formula, you would get it, or this method. So I believe, I would, if I were to prepare for CAT at this stage, I mean completely new, I would say, have I reached this 50 mark consistency? then move to a 60 mark consistency. I always look at it incrementally. If I'm able to travel over the period of next 5 months, push my scores from about 15 to 20 marks, right, from where I am, right, maybe with 20 marks. Some guys could probably go much above that. It depends on where you are at this stage. I would always look at, it is very important to keep some milestones, I believe. I would keep milestones of scores, and the analysis that I do is, I think, very crucial to build the skills to cross each of these milestones.
I'll just add one more thing to this. I think it's also very important somewhere in the middle of stage 2 or stage 3 to identify what my area of strength is. Now, somebody out there might feel, quant is my area of strength, and thereby I think I can also handle DILR. Somebody might turn around and say VARC is my area of strength. The one thing that I would just like to point out is whatever is your area of strength, obviously you'll focus on all the three sections, but whatever is your area of strength, don't be satisfied with a 95, 97, 98 percentile in that. I'm not talking marks converted to marks depending on LOD, but your area of strength has to be one place where you have to aim for a 99.5 plus. Then it's an area of strength. You have to maximize that place. You have to turn around and say, I'm an absolute stud in this section. So that's just one thing that I, continuing from what Chivku said, that milestone 50, 60, 70, to me, that milestone is also a sectional milestone. If I'm good at quant, then quant plus DILR has to get me 55, 60 marks. Then I know verbal sectional cutoff 85 percentile 20, 22 hota hai. 55 plus 20, 20 to 75. I know I'm going to get 99 for sure. Verbal sectional and my quant plus DI. Flip side, I'm good at verbal. I need to get a 45. I know 40 is a 99. I'm aiming for a 45. Quant plus DI, I need 30. I know sectional cutoff both is 12 and 15. 27 sectional cutoff hota hai, 99 aa gaya. So I'm clearing sectional, I'm getting a 99.5 in area of strength, I'll get it. So I think that is one very important thing. Maximize that area of strength, whatever it is. Aim for a 99.5 plus there.
GB, one question here is how good is it to have a preconceived target in your mind when you're going to attempt a mock? Let us say my पिछले mock mein I scored 60. This mock I want to go to 70. How good is that feeling to have? Number two is a follow up to this itself is okay, I started off on a wrong note in VARC. What do I do?
I think interesting. I'll pick up the first one. Second one I'll leave to Jijo, the verbal maestro. But I'll pick up the first one for sure. Which is why I like what Shivku said. I like what GP also says, which is aim for marks. The problem in that entire thing is mark to percentile will keep changing. And that is something we've seen, for example, in the last 3 years itself, right? Last year was what? 76 for a 99. Year before that was about 84, 85 for a 99. Year before that was roughly around 94, 95, 97, something like that for a 99. So we're talking about what? Almost 20 mark ka shift, which has happened. So, it's a tricky place to be in. But I'll go back to what Shivku said. Irrespective of level of difficulty of the paper, I should be able to get this much at least. Irrespective. Which is what the mocks are for. The mocks are for you to experience 5-8 levels of difficulty of paper. 5-8 different combination. A mock will have a verbal and DILR tough, quant easy. One mock will have, verbal difficult, quant and DILR easy. Third will have verbal ekdam bacha, DILR difficult, quant. You have to experience that so that when you're writing CAT in your slot, you can turn around and state, this is like CDC mock 3. Usme ye hua tha. This is like CDC mock 7. Usme ye hua tha. So that I think is important. I don't know whether it's necessary to turn around and state एक mock से दूसरे mock में 50 to 60 mark. I don't know whether that is important or not. I don't think that's what Chivku was even saying. I don't think that might have come across. I don't think that's what we are saying. What we're trying to get to is benchmarking in terms of level of difficulty जो भी हो, irrespective of क्या है, मैं 50 तक ला सकता हूँ, ये मेरी औकात has improved. Another 1.5 months औकात has improved and moved to 60, irrespective of LOD. I think that is how you can approach, and then obviously
I think what you were talking about, GB, is the average scores across the papers, because also there is also one more thought to that कि पेपर को अपने मेरिट पे भी सॉल्व करना पड़ेगा. If let's say one mock you see quant very difficult or DIL very difficult.
नहीं वो तो ठीक है, मेरिट तो ठीक है, बट आई थिंक क्वांट में 7-8 क्वेश्चन, LRDA में एक सेट, राइट, और वर्बल में 7-8 क्वेश्चन, इतना तो बनना है। I mean, अगर ये नहीं बनेगा तो कहाँ पे जाएगा?
At least
Yeah,
I
same
think
same same thing in
people.
verbal, right? Same thing in, you can't
Yeah.
turn around, you can't come up and say, nahi, I will not look at verbal, I will only do RC. Come what may, to 8 questions I will not see, I think they are difficult, I can't do it. If
That is not
you've
true.
gotten into that thing, if over, life is over.
The
50
way
करना
I
है.
marks
look at it,
waiting there.
the way I look at it is, so everybody will be listening and saying that ये क्या चल रहा है? This is game है.
Opinions.
हाँ, ये game है ना? Game में 10-15 different strategies होंगे. You'll have to figure out what happens. This is how I
Correct.
look at it. My score improvement is not happening in the mock. My score improvement will happen what I do between two mocks. Okay, mock is like me going in front of the mirror and looking at my face. And every day I look at my face and go, I have to improve my look. कैसे होगा? I have to do something in so I have to do something in between. ये स्कोर तो उधर improve हो रहा है. और मॉक लिखने के लिए बैठ गया. मेरे सामने 66 क्वेश्चन है. मेरा औकात है. मतलब सडनली माई टारगेट इज 100, मतलब होना चाहिए ना, मतलब जो मैं कर सकता हूँ. मेरे को इतना टारगेट हो सकता है. मेरा जो भी क्वेश्चन मेरे को आता है, डिड आई सॉल्व. ओके, जो भी क्वेश्चन मेरे को नहीं आता है, डिड आई लीव, डिड आई मेक गुड डिसीजंस. दिस इज नंबर वन. If I'm looking at the mock, a good mock for me, at least based on whatever is my skills at that point in time, and my skill is improving based on my learning. But if I look at a good mock, a good performance in terms of mock, ये मेरा औकात है. Okay, in the 66 question, I had my औकात to solve about 40 questions. So I should not have touched these questions का अभी तक मेरे पास औकात नहीं. Should not have touched the question. Did I make the right decisions? Did I do all the questions that I know? Did I leave the question that I don't know? Did how many silly mistakes that I made? Silly mistake is horrible because that is like a loss of 4 marks. No, it's not even loss of the -1 to 4 ka difference. Hai na? For example, 2 silly mistake is a difference of 8. That is from going to 60 to probably 70, very close to 70. So the way in which I would, so when I'm sitting to take a mock, okay, the way in which I look at when I'm sitting to take the mock, the CAT is after all a set of questions that I go see in the screen. Every question, I keep seeing one question on the screen. It is about my ability to make good decision with respect to what I see on the screen. If I see a reading comprehension passage, unnecessarily I started reading it very fast and did not understand, bad decision. I saw a DLR set, वो देख के I डर गया मैं, instead of actually reading the particular set, bad decision. I looked at, just because I saw a question on time speed distance which I studied yesterday, उसके अंदर घुस के I spent about 5 minutes on the particular question, bad decisions. So I think if you look at analysis sort of in this mock, is to look at the decision that you made and how many good decisions that you made and how many bad decisions that you made. I think that's the best that you can do with respect to mock. And once you list down all the things, then you will understand, okay, these are the 3-4 things I got to do before I take the next mock, which will be probably a week time. These are the things I have to focus on and keep working. Some issues will take a lot of time to resolve. Some issue will happen different time. Every mock will have new issues. So that is how I would look at mock rather than sort of thinking. But I agree to what Shivku is saying. At the end of the day, there has to be a bare minimum number of questions that I got to solve. Well, I cannot say that I'll sit in the paper not have any target whatsoever. But I think the better way to look at mock is looking at your decisions and how many of the decisions you have to make 66 decisions. How many of the 60 decisions were good, and how many of the 66 decisions were bad? What percentage of decisions are good? So long as you're making if you 80-90% decisions you made are good, I think you've done a decent job based on whatever skill that you had. Then you go out and improve the skills. I think the problem that happens with most of the people is that we are studying a lot, but at some point we are not able to implement that in the paper. फिर फायदा क्या हुआ? I have studied, spent hours and hours learning about algebra. Okay, whatever. Logarithm. I spent about 3 hours learning everything. I know all the concept. सामने जो दिखा question, उसमें apply नहीं किया. फिर फायदा क्या हुआ पढ़ने का? So for example, एक GP का simple सा जुगाड़ था, 4 ऑप्शन था. All just by looking at the elimination, we could have eliminated the question. मैं छोड़ दिया वाला question. पर क्या फायदा है? So definitely at the end of the day, it's about your assessment of your decisions and how many of the decisions were good and how many of the decisions were bad. You're obviously going to make some bad decisions, but I think if you start looking at mock in that perspective and looking at the decision, and then as you keep on developing the skills by the effort that you're putting in, you're also implement that in the test scenario. That's what I would say.
Great. So that was a lot of interesting explanation. Uh, let's move on to the next one, which talks about the timeline. So this is where the students were asking about वो कब test देना चाहिए, what should be the timeline, how many mocks should I give, and when. So this is an answer to that. This is how we have spread our mocks, and this is an ideal way of taking mocks. The frequency has to be higher on the September, October, November period, and you have to move towards that, right? And by far you have done some. So you are in June, exactly in the middle of June almost, and so many mocks to go. So what is your take on this? Please share your opinions.
यार schedule तो बना हुआ है. Somebody has spent enough time doing this, right? I mean, why do you have to put extra brain to say कि कब लेना है mock? जो decided है, let's stick to it. जो इस हर, I mean, you literally see that from July to November, almost every week you have a mock. Between two mocks, there is enough time for you to do all the analysis. अब इससे ज्यादा करना क्या है? I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I would just say my statement is stick to the schedule, do it when it is scheduled to be done. Full stop.
सो शिवकू अपन अपन 50 के आसपास है अपना उम्र आपका ना तो ये हमने जो याद है 2000 अर्ली 2000 का मॉक 8 मॉक होते थे
हाँ बिल्कुल.
देयर यूज्ड टू बी दिस 8 मॉक पीपल यूज्ड टू गेट द सेम स्कोर
जीजो उस टाइम पे 150 होता था, 150 क्वेश्चंस.
हाँ पब्लिक का स्कोर सेम ही है उधर का स्कोर CAT का percentage is not never cross 50% for 99%. Then not today.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Public used to take 8 mocks and crack it. And now over the time, what has happened that conversational mock बोल के okay हाँ थोड़ा इधर थोड़ा धंधा भी है साइड में. Okay. It has reached a point where mock मतलब left and हो गया. मेरे हिसाब से we have looked at a number. I think it's very easy to create 50 mocks and give ना. उसमें क्या है? I think इतना mock हमने इतना सालों से पढ़ा है. It's very very easy for us to create 100 mocks and give it to you and say that 100 mock वाला test series तेरे पास उठाओ. It just doesn't make any sense. तो ये अपना schedule बनाया है. I think ससील भाई ये अभी ये ऐसा है. This is like one God has spoken. अभी question नहीं करने का. You can't ask God ना sir why how can I don't want to die. No यही है. And other thing that people miss out is what Sasil has said. इसके अंदर there is some there is a set of CAT questions. वो कब करेगा अपन? I think DILR का 99 काउंट कर लेता है ना. DILR का 99 सेट है.
15 सेक्शन टेस्ट है.
CAT का उठाता है ना. So CAT is like what?
If you attempt them as mocks, जीजो 2020 से 2023 तक only 2 hours वाले पेपर्स भी अगर लेते हैं, we look at it, that is itself 12 mocks.
हाँ हमें पूरा 2070 पूरा करना है ना पूरा CAT 100 सेट्स करेंगे.
If you want to take 2-hour papers as mocks, then 2020 onwards you can start as mocks itself. Others as practice material definitely.
So what happens is when you rush behind this idea of quantity, मुझे चाहिए something is suffering. Because what is अभी time speed distance का problem है ना. Distance equal to speed into time. Distance is constant. Okay. तो अपना जो I don't know what is constant. Time is constant. I don't know. Okay. Whatever. It's like A into B equal to C. Okay. C is constant. Okay. अपना जो time है वो तो fixed है. I cannot go today go say shit time management मतलब I want to manage time better but I can't tell no I will get 24 hours day will make it 25 hours. नहीं होगा ना. So this is fixed. Second problem क्या होता है ना. ये एक crowd है which is sitting at home preparing for the CAT. ये लोग ना, so the people are sitting at home preparing for the CAT have decided that somehow I have to fill this entire 8 hours doing whatever I want to do, and the preparation becomes absolutely ineffective. So what are the two most crucial resources? Number one, and obviously there are other things. First is CAT, second is mock. There itself, ये सब करने के लिए, I think that if you start taking anything more than this, so you will kind of suffer. But that is what I would say. 8 हो गया मतलब अपना. इसके अंदर section test भी है ना. We also give section test. No?
हाँ section test है. 15 section test है. CAT के papers है. बहुत है. I mean 150 days बंदा 6 घंटा भी काम करेगा ना. Right?
खत्म नहीं
Your
होगा.
mock test, your section test and CAT के papers, that itself will consume everything.
हाँ ठीक है.
अच्छा क्या है?
All right. So what do the past
add one
trends?
thing to the previous slide, which is, please don't forget that many of you might also be taking NMAT. So there'll be NMAT mocks that you'll be taking somewhere around that region as well. October, I think first week, second week is when NMAT starts. Many of you all might be taking it before the CAT exam. So you'll have a few mocks there as well. So please don't forget that.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we have to be lazy hard workers. Minimum effort, maximum return. Okay. So if we start, so you have to look at what is the most effective preparation plan that you got to do. I think there is nothing that एक mock से सीखना शुरू करेंगे ना. I think the preparation will be solid. I think that is what I think I'd say. Okay. What is next?
Acha, there's this one interesting question that Rama, I think Sazil, ये जो sir, what is the difference between VARC test and practice? I don't see any difference between the right. He says we get unknown questions. There is no difference in my opinion.
What is VLR and Matlab?
No, no. See, this test and practice for VARC and DILR, because everything is unknown, right? New passage, unseen data, right? So, is the testing same as the practice? Of course. I mean, this is testing is practice, practice is testing.
How to I think we are getting into semantic discussion on what does test and practice means. We can get into philosophical discussion. But BRC is an open book exam, na. Exam ke pehle knowledge kuch hai na. Whatever you need to answer the question is there. You only come to know in the paper. I think that is what will be DILR. So whether it is test, whether it is practice, important thing in the tune seekha kya usse.
What did you learn out of it, and how did you analyze it? I think that is where the learning comes.
Chalo, theek hai.
I think testing में one thing that stands aside from practices during that the time. मतलब in the test you have to make those decisions कि what kind of questions am I leaving and what kind of questions am I solving within the set also. What kind of set am I entering into and what kind of set am I rejecting? While practicing, I don't think you'd have that kind of leeway. While practicing, you have to go through absolutely every question that is there in the mock. See, a couple of slides ago, the agenda of the mocks, there was one point which is the art of leaving questions. Boss, you will be able to leave questions only when you know how to solve that. When you know how to solve that, जब तुमको पता है ये solve करने में 6 मिनट लगने हैं, तब छोड़ोगे आप उसको. Otherwise, if it is unknown only to you, you will not leave. Believe me. Okay,
I'll add to that. However, Ravi, if it is unknown to me, you need to learn how to leave.
Yeah,
That is important.
correct. I mean,
You don't experiment and play around with it during a mock or during CAT.
testing is
Unknown hai chodo.
precisely
It
for
is
that.
good. Unknown is good in CAT.
Correct.
One less headache. I don't need to worry. Okay, leave.
Testing, I think GB is precisely for that. Ki boss, what decision, as Jijo mentioned, after the test, when you're doing that analysis, what kind of decisions did you make and how can you improve your decision making in the mocks coming forward or the actual CAT? That is what testing really, really stands for. I think anyways, you have to practice each and every question that is there.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Scores versus percentile. Yeah, Ravi, would you take us through this? I think we've spoken a lot about this in a couple of our previous sessions as well.
The only thing is that don't make it into a data analytics exercise by making a prediction based on this data. A lot of people look at it and go, Acha, look at CAT 2020, 2021, 22, 23. Look at 99.5 percentile, 115, 107, 93, 84. Next year, na, ye jaane wala hai 75. Karke मतलब, don't make this
Trend identification.
Right after taking the paper, I spoke with you. I spoke with GB also on that day and said, boss, ये बार Quant तो बहुत दे दिया इसने. ठीक है? And we guessed at that time only 80%, 80 marks will be 99% percentile very comfortably. But see, this is only a benchmark. Okay. What it tells me is if last year you have 76 marks per 99 percentile, what it is going to tell me is that this year it may hover around that. 2 mark कम हो सकता है, 4 marks it can be lesser than 76, or it could be 6 marks or 7 marks higher than 76 also. What if CAT 2022 was the paper that came in CAT 2023? उल्टा हो जाता, the trend would have reversed. it's a ballpark figure. That 99th percentile at 76 marks, 76, 80 marks, 85, 90 marks is a ballpark figure for that 99. But if you look at any of these papers, if you want to really be in those ABCs, the top B schools of the world, I think 100 is a safe score to have. 100 plus is what your target should be eventually reaching there. And for reaching there, I think what GB said is, when you, in your area of strength, you have to be an absolute stud, right? If you look at the past data also, what Shipku was telling is, in quant I should be minimum able to solve 7 to 8 questions. In DILR I should be minimum able to solve one set. In VRC I should be able to attempt 8 to 9 questions correctly minimum. If you actually look at it, what these marks translate to are the sectional cutoffs of these sections. And irrespective of the total cutoffs, at 75th percentile, 80 percentile of the sectional scores, they have remained almost the same. It has changed from probably 6 questions to 5 questions somewhere, or 8 questions to fallen down to 7 questions somewhere. But ये minimum लाना जरूरी है in each of the sections that you're looking at, in each of the mocks that you want to take. Over and above that, one particular subject or two, if you can make them really your strengths, even if quant 20 in cat 2023 was comparatively tougher than all other cats before, all cats in the previous 3-4 years before that, people who had the satta of being a stud in quant still ended up scoring 40, 45, 48 marks in the paper, right? There were 16 questions that those people solved in the paper. It's only that the 95th, 90th percentile fell in quant. The
median came down.
The
Yeah,
median came, but the
GP
outliers will always be there.
So
So
GP is
don't
not here.
settle. Yeah.
GP is not here. Every time GP has taken DILR section, every year. Oh, same like last year. Easy. his, his answer has been same. But yeah, so
You know,
I think
that might actually not be wrong, Jijo. One reason for 82.5 to have gone down to 76 could also just have been the number of test takers increasing. Level of difficulty being more or less the same.
no, it won't be the case. I think basically वो maths गड़बड़ कर दिया last year. Okay, so
वो students के लिए गड़बड़ किया.
yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah.
if GP was here, GP would turn around and say, मेरे को तो फिर भी वो same 10-12 questions मिला.
मेरे केस में तो I
Same
scored
जुगाड़.
lesser in cat 23
because
as
because
compared to 24.
जीपी का जो जुगाड़ वाला है वो consistent है हमेशा.
Exactly.
So you will always
GP,
find those 10 to 12 questions.
in my case I scored lesser in 23 than I scored in cat 22 across all the 3 sections, क्योंकि सुबह का slot था. मैं क्या करता यार. I am not a morning person.
Yeah.
So that is where I think that point that GB said, last 4-5 mocks that you are taking has to be exactly in the time slot that you have been allotted on your admit card. That is very important, that your body and mind is tuned to working on those timings.
Yeah, I think we can move on almost.
Yeah. So this is a interesting slide which Jijo generally does not agree with. Jijo always likes to say, mock में 50 आया तो cat में 50 आएगा और क्या आएगा? I generally look at it in a slightly different way, which is, if you go back to your previous slide, just look at where 80 percentile has been over the last 2 years. You're basically turning around and stating, and I'd like to ask this to everybody today here who's attending this session. Imagine you have 2 hours. We are telling you have 40 minutes, 3 sections each. Do you have the confidence? Don't have the confidence? 4 question karunga, 4 question karungi from each section. And I think I can get that right. 11 to 12 questions if I attempt, do I think I can get that right? And if the answer to yourself is yes, I think I have the ability to do that, that to me just explains that a huge chunk of people who go ahead and write CAT are there just to make up numbers. Not everybody is a serious aspirant. Not a huge chunk is a serious aspirant. Not everybody is turning around and stating, I'm putting in 30,000, 40,000, or this is my second attempt, I'm buying another test series, I'm doing. Not everybody does that. Some people are just there, my girlfriend is writing, मैं भी चले जाता हूँ. Problem हो जाएगा बाद में. कोई लेके कौन आएगा, छोड़ने कौन जाएगा. You've heard neighbors say somebody's gone ahead and done IIM Ahmedabad, father is screaming, why are you not writing CAT? So a lot of people there are making up numbers. It's not everybody who's a serious competitor, which is why it becomes very important to understand when you're writing a mock, you are benchmarking only predominantly against those serious competitors who actually put in the time, who've put in the money, who put in their resources, utilizing them, and then you are being benchmarked against them. So which is why the way I like to look at it is, if you end up scoring a 50 against say 10,000 people who are serious competitors, it means your rank is 5,000. That same rank out of 2.88 lakh or 2.9 lakh people will not turn out to be 1 lakh 40,000, 1 lakh 45,000. It will move closer towards a 1 lakh 80, 1 lakh 90, because a huge chunk of them are making up numbers. So that predominantly is what I mean and what we mean by this slide, which is a 50 percentile in your mock does not mean necessarily that it will be 50 in cat. But if you look at the higher end, that is exactly what it turns out to be. A 99 generally will not move more than a 0.3, 0.4 percentile or more than that, because the toppers are the ones you're competing with here. They are the same ones you're going to be competing with in cat. So I think that's predominantly what this slide turns out to mean. So some of y'all here who are thinking mera khali 30 aaya hai, 40 aaya hai, kya hoga, what will I do? I would turn around and state two things. Number one, you have enough time, and the next slide will talk about that, to move from a 30, 40 percentile to a 90, 95, and so on and so forth. But the second is also, don't turn around and feel dejected by the fact, oh, I am 30 out of so many. You are 30 out of a smaller set. And even right now, even a lesser number of you all have written it. By the time you see the max in October, November, the 30 could have moved to a 45, 50 as more and more people write, because that's from a smaller benchmark. Yeah, Jijo.
मेरा
Disagreement. Yeah, I know.
ये मेरा डिस्क्रिप्ट नहीं है. I think whatever happens, unfortunately, in any scenario, somebody is going to be on top, somebody is going to be in bottom. Okay, but I can't stop it. Nobody can stop it. Whether there 100 people are taking the test, 1,000 people are taking the test, 1 lakh people are taking the test. And so there will be about 50% of you, 50 percentile will be a reality. Now, if this, so you will be somewhere. Okay, you will be somewhere, and there is no reason to suggest that just because I am at whatever percentile is just a rank, nothing else. जो कोई rank ही तो है, तो rank among a set of students who are taken the particular test. That does not mean that CAT ka story is going to be exactly the same like GB says. That I completely agree. Okay. Number two is that 50 percentile in CAT and 70 percentile in CAT, मतलब outcome is more or less same only, है ना? So अपने को वो सब सोचने का नहीं है. अपने को सीधा सोचना है 90 परसेंटाइल के ऊपर कहाँ से खींचना है. नंबर 3 इज दैट ये 50 और 90 का जो परसेंटाइल डिफरेंस लुक्स लाइक the 40 percentile difference. Actual score difference उतना नहीं होगा. What is if I look at 50 to 80? So the 80 is about 34. ना 50 कितना होगा? 50 will be about
50 would have been about probably 20, 21.
20, 21. ना 20 से 34 मतलब will be about 15. 15 marks are different, which is about 5 questions. Okay,
even lesser. 3 questions you got wrong if you get correct.
So basically, with the graph, so whenever you look at a graph just plateaus and slowly ऐसा होता है ना end में. So the real games, look at all that. Look at from 80 to 90 percentile jump. 80 to 90 percentile jump is 3 question jump. Okay, but 99.5 to 99 percentile jump is more than that. Okay, that's about huge jump. So one of the problem is just looking at a percentile rank, which is why I believe that GP says look at the score. One of the things that we look at a percentile rank is we assume that the 50 percentile or a 30 percentile to 70 percentile is a 40 percentage. उतना improve होना है मेरे को score का, उतना नहीं होना चाहिए. 2 question improvement that happens, which also means that when you are at about 50-60 percentile, you fluctuate like crazy. Some days you are at 30 percentile, sometimes you are at about 45 percentile, sometimes you are at 65 percentile. ये fluctuation होगा. You will keep fluctuating. Now the key thing is, at the end of the day, irrespective of whatever, I think we are this test में unfortunately क्या reality है, इस test में anything less than a particular rank is as good as getting a last rank. ये unfortunate reality है ना ये वाला test में. So we'll have to prepare in the sense that my score, my percentile is an outcome after all. It's the outcome. So I have to focus on the score. That is what I would say. But yeah, your point is correct. So just because looking at a percentile, don't go by saying that yeah, this means something. I think that there's a complete sort of misunderstanding in terms of the percentile movement is not so linear. 50 वो straight line में जाता है, वो score movement to that is very different.
Correct. In continuation with what you were stating, Jido, I'll just put up this question, because you're just talking about that. Sir, how to deal if my scores are varying a lot? I have taken 4 mocks. In one it's 35, another it's 12.
First of all, 35 to 12 marks is not a huge variation. है ना? हाँ? Okay, the 35 to 12 मतलब difference क्या है? What is the difference that we are talking about? We are talking about difference of
5 additional
20
incorrect questions, we could say.
हाँ
23 marks. So about
23
5
mark
more
हाँ
incorrect
तो
questions,
23
5,
marks
6.
about पांच क्वेश्चन का डिफरेंस है ना? Okay,
Yeah.
so your number of question is net number of question is moving from about 4 to about how much is it? The 12 marks about 4 questions. So which means
Yeah.
इसमें क्या हो रहा है? एक तो you are fluctuating here. Fluctuate is going to happen. You have to fluctuate at this level. So इसमें मेरे को क्या लग रहा है that you are attempting less number of question and you're putting yourself in lot of pressure saying that जो भी my gut feeling is that तूने decide किया I will only solve 2 RC passages. Okay, yeah, I will only solve 1 DLR set कुछ ऐसा decision किया है and then you are forcing yourself to solve that much. You have rejected a set number of questions straight away and then now you're forcing yourself to answer the rest of the question and making a lot of mistake. I think this would be an issue with respect to the way in which you're taking the test. Number two is this is just a symptom. This is not a problem. If you ask a question like this, saying that I took 4 mock and I got 35 marks and 12 marks, how to deal with it? My answer to that question is I don't know. The only way I will know answer to this particular question is that you do the analysis. The very fact that you're even and asking this question in this particular manner tells me that you have not done your analysis. और तूने एनालिसिस किया होता तेरा सवाल बहुत अलग होता है ना सो ये जो सो द थिंग इज दैट हमने मॉक लेने के बाद एनालिसिस नहीं कर रहे हैं और द राइट काइंड ऑफ एनालिसिस ढंग से नहीं कर रहे हैं हम ऐसा क्विकली वी गो टू द क्वेश्चन आई डोंट इवन नो वेदर यू एक्चुअली सॉल्व ऑल द क्वेश्चन वंस अगेन even the question that you don't even the question that you did make correct so this is a reflection of clearly a reflection of you not doing
Analysis.
enough analysis. I think that is what I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Yeah. I think similar to what we've been talking about earlier. Ravi, you want to get into this probably?
Yeah, so this is something that GB has also touched upon, right? So depending on what is your area of strength or what is your area of weakness, you have to plan your attack in the game, right? How, if for example someone is a VRC hero, someone is scoring about 40 marks today or 35 marks today in the mocks, he in VRC he is someone that is he or she is someone that who is very comfortable in VRC. The idea is to take your VRC from that 40 marks to 50, 55, 56 marks, where you end up being a 99.9 in VRC. I mean, whichever is your area of strength, you should be absolutely going all guns blazing in that, while maintaining an average attempt in the other two sections and average preparation in the other two sections also. Like for DILR and QA, if you end up being at a 95th percentile, you get to that, solving 7 to 8 questions of QA, solving one set completely of DILR, and probably 2 to 3 questions of the other set. If you are able to manage this, your overall total score ends up being about 99.3 percentile. To be at a 99.3 percentile, you don't need to score 99 percentile in each of the 3 sections. That is the entire essence of this argument, right? Even if you're particularly strong in one of the sections and you are clearing the sectional barrier and doing a good job, a decent job in the other 2 sections, you're there. For example, if you look at a QA hero also, if you are looking at a 99.9 in QA and then being a 95th percentile in both QA and in both VRC and DLR, your overall percentile is bound to be about 99.5, right? That is what previous data suggests. So someone was asking, Jijo, what if I don't have any area of strength? I mean, if I am an average performer in all the 3, what happens to me?
Mala, first of all, don't start saying that you are average and all. First of all, go stand in the front of mirror, say sorry to yourself. ये पहला चीज. The moment we say we are average, मतलब at the end of the day क्या है? Eventually skill ही तो है. This is based on the skill, right? So if you are able to put in that enough effort, we will be at least, we'll not be hero. Probably we'll be decent. For example, even if I add 95 percentile in each of the 3 sections, that is what 24 plus 24 plus 34. कितना total? That is what
82.
50,
82.
82.
82
ये
is well above 99.
ये percentile तो अजीब
No,
है कौन सा
no,
this based
purposely.
on
This is purposely done. Till now, we've only spoken about CAT 2023 as reference.
Oh,
purposely picked up an example where cat 21 is a reference just to showcase
acho,
don't go just by 1 year.
acho.
So this
See,
is where cat 21 has been picked up as a reference point.
Yep.
see. First of all, the demand for a hero is not huge. Okay, if you actually look at डिमांड क्या है, वो अगर DLR में हीरो बनाने के लिए 40 मार्क का डिमांड कर रहा है, 40 मार्क आउट ऑफ हाउ मेनी मार्क्स टोटल?
60.
60.
60 marks. No, अपने पे demand for a hero about 60% mark. Okay, demand for cat for a good is you have to fail. Okay, you have to get something like a 40%, मतलब वो goodness है. So ये डिमांड जो कैट जो हीरोगिरी जो डिमांड करता है वो उतना बड़ा नहीं है. That is number one. Okay, so number two is that if let's say if you are kind of if you want all the three areas which you are kind of, you are obviously pushing each of them. At some point in time, there'll be that one section that is taking a lot of heavy load of yours. Just try to extend that a little bit and keep pushing the others. That is the idea. The hero means it is your hero. मतलब you define what your hero is. I'm sure that comparatively कुछ तो hero होगा ना अपन. एक में 0 -2 एक में 5 तो 5 हीरो हो गया ना मेरे लिए. ओके, सो कंपैरेटिवली जो हीरो है उसको पुश करना शुरू कर थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा, बाकी चीज कीप पुशिंग. वन को थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा पुश कर, बाकी को थोड़ा पुश कर. दैट्स व्हाट आई एम श्योर रवि इज ट्राइंग टू से.
I mean, to my mind, आपका हीरो वो है कि आंख बंद करके कैट के 3 सेक्शन सोचो किसका प्रैक्टिस करना चाहते हो, that is your hero. That is where your interest lies. That is where you can actually develop and go ahead and score well. That becomes your hero eventually.
And second of all, there are वैसे भी बहुत सारे colleges हैं. I'm not talking about cat which non IIMs. बहुत सारे colleges बहुत sectional cut off तो है नहीं ना बहुत सारे colleges में, non IIMs में. Okay, so I'm sure that let's say that इक्का दुक्का section से you'll be able to do it. So I'm sure that there are a lot of non IIMs which are even better than some of the new IIMs. So that the game is not over. If you think it is over in your head, it's over. We are hero. Let not us define what herogiri is. तो हम hero है.
Correct. I don't want to sound like a pessimist here, but I have seen students who have scored consistently 97s, 98s in terms of percentiles in mocks, and on the CAT day they were not able to perform well because something happened. There will be some additional something from outside happened, and they could not do it well. I mean, VRC खेल गया मेरे साथ. This is the reason. Shivko, if you remember, one of our colleagues, Tejas, right? 3 consecutive years he has given taken CAT. Each of the 3 years is a 99.5 plus in both DILR and Quant. In VARC, all the 3 years he failed to create the sectional cutoff while he was doing very good in the mocks in VARC.
Introduce him to Jijo.
So,
वो तो MDA I think is passed out from MDA this year.
होता है. And there I have seen people who were in 95s, 96 in terms of percentiles, and on the CAT day they just stuck to their game plan, and because others panicked, they ended up scoring a 99 because the paper was comparatively difficult. So these kind of things keep happening, right? You have to stick to what your game plan is.
Yeah, Jijo. Attempt strategy. What do you think? How should students look at VARC at this point in time? There's a little bit that we've gone ahead and written here, but at this point in time, 5-6 months still to go to CAT. Different kinds of students. Some who've written before have a decent understanding. Some who might just be starting at this point in time. How should they be approaching the VARC section in a mock?
So they should approach the VRC section in terms of how they want to approach the VRC section on the day of the CAT. If you try to approach it any different for today, you'll continue that approach till the end. तो तुम्हारा जो भी approach है, irrespective of whatever the score is, तो तुम्हारा you are given 24 questions, है ना? Your first approach is you can tell the cat, why did you give 24 questions? Keep 8 with you. I don't need it. करके you can say unnecessary. Why did you create this question? You could do that. But if you do that today, you'll do that till the very end. So your at least mindset would be, I'll want to attempt as many questions as possible. It may not be possible to attempt all the questions, but at least that should be the mindset that you start with. So that means there are obviously challenges. I mean that you have to read the passage, you have to solve the question. This also means not to get stuck in any question. Most of the problem happens when you get stuck in the question. So, but my general advice is, whatever is you would want to look at as many questions as possible. That is of course. So whatever that you want to happen in D-Day, you start manifesting ensure that that happens today. At least that is at least you're aiming that approach today. So attempt, I will say attempt all RCs. Definitely evaluate all RCs. Definitely evaluate all questions. You can still attempt instead of 24 questions, 20 questions. But you could, for example, pick up 3 questions from passage in paragraph number one, leave one, if because it was sort of it takes a lot of time. Biggest time waste happens in evaluating options in when it comes to this one. And then don't ignore VA. I think that we keep thinking about CAT is 60, CAT is about RC. Art question of VA is like 2 RC passages. And उसमें से 8 में से 5 निकला, 5 3 से 15 marks. That itself is like a 70th percentile. Just with VA only. So 5 questions net. So that's what I would say with BRC. Yeah.
Perfect. Ravi, DLR.
I think yeah, there's no perfect strategy, guys. Okay, different people will have different strategies. Though this is what we have been communicating for long now. See, at the end of the mock, when you analyze it, you will realize, अच्छा ये वाला set नहीं करना था, ये वाला set करना था, right? At the beginning of the mock, when you're taking it, when you're looking at DILR as a section, if you use the first 3-4 minutes to skim through the passages of DILRs, look at the questions and the type of data set that is given to you, and then based on your familiarity towards the questions, or based on your familiarity towards the logic that is being questioned in the set, choose the order of attempts, right? This could be one kind of strategy for attempting DILR. Now, this comes into picture when you are already at a certain level of solving DILR and you are probably good at making good decisions as well, right? Now, let us say you are someone who cannot decide about what to do with a particular set in the first 1 minute of looking at it, and uh, if you're looking at a set for 1 minute, reading the questions, and you're not able to gauge what is exactly happening, you're not able to form a map in your mind. The other set of people could also go ahead with this. You spend 2 to 3 minutes on that set. The first set is in front of you. You spend 2 to 3 minutes on that set. If you are able to draw at least one additional conclusion from the data points given, or if you are able to visualize how the table is probably going to be formed, if you are able to understand that 3 out of these 5 questions are doable and 2 others are difficult, then I think, go ahead and solve that set, even if it takes 15 minutes. Because even if it takes 15-20 minutes for the first set, I don't think you are at a loss, because solving 2 sets in the paper will get you a 99.5 percentile in DILR, and 99 percentile at least in DILR at 50%, right? So there is no fixed strategy. Those of you who have been into the game of already taking mocks, those of you who have been preparing for a while now and are comfortable in approaching questions based on logic, can implement the strategy that is there on the screen. Those of you who are not, look at each of the question sets individually. If the first set you are looking at, you have spent 2 to 3 minutes, looked at the questions, and you felt absolutely uncomfortable, leave. What you have done is you have eliminated one set from the paper, and you have 37 more minutes to go with only 3 sets left, right? उसमें से 2 करने हैं. You will find those 2 sets eventually. GB, anything you want to add to DLR?
Nah, perfect. I think at this point in time, the only thing I would state is while you are trying to figure out your attempt strategy, Ravi might have his, I might have mine, GP might have, Shivku might have, Jijo might have, everybody might have their own strategy. Some of us, it might be the same, some might be different. I think it's important for you to identify what your strength is, how you want to go about it. But most important at this point in time, with 5.5 months to go, is while you are figuring that out, while don't think that I did not do well in a mock just because my strategy wasn't correct. You still have time to figure that strategy out. One main reason why that might not be happening is because after the mock, you've not sat down and told yourself, take one full day, just solve the 4 sets. Just get that high of solving sets at this point in time, and then try to figure out your own strategy. I generally go by this strategy, which is scanning first 5-7 minutes, identifying, Okay, I like arrangement dikha, okay, I will try giving it a go. Oh, games and tournament, conventional type around robin, oh, I like it, I'll give it a go. Venn diagram hai, maxima minima nahi dikh raha, okay, I'll give it a go. I like to look at those 3 4 pointers. That might not necessarily be something that you might want to look at, but in case you feel that that's a comfortable strategy, go and adopt it. If not, do whatever you're comfortable. You might turn around and state, I want to look at one set at first set, I will read, it looks like I can do it, I want to give it a try, give it a try. Nahi hua 3 4 mein, move to the next.
That is
Second,
very important, GV. Knowing
moving.
when to move on, right? मतलब you've
Yeah.
spent 5 minutes in a set,
Correct.
but कुछ खुल ही नहीं रहा है उसमें, नहीं खुलेगा यार, तभी नहीं
Sunk
खुलेगा. In
cost.
the
Sunk
exam, leave
cost.
it. Come home, solve it. Take that high. But in the exam, let it go. Okay.
Yeah, totally. Okay, let's move to quant. Shivku, your take in terms of quant.
No, Dick, I think I'm not a very hardcore believer in strategy, right? Question पढ़ लिया. If I know how to solve it, I solve it. If I, it's like very clearly put it into three buckets. I read it, I understand how to do it, I know what is the uh, end point, how to reach the end point, I'll solve it. If there are some questions where I'll read it, chamka nahi, छोड़ दो. जहां पे I think the most dangerous things are शायद हो जाएगा. ये शायद हो जाएगा is they are the biggest traps. If you are able to skip all the shayad ho jayega and do only the things that you think you can do, I'm sure that you'll be able to do 7 to 8 questions if you have done enough homework to me is taking a test, analyzing, practicing, right, going back, okay, what was the concept I missed in this, go back, learn it. So I think strategy will evolve itself, because I would just say that the most critical part by the time you hit October, November should be your ability to, especially in quant, read something and know whether you can do it or not. If you crack that, I think you will crack those 8 questions, because then you are telling yourself 8 questions, given knocking off a little, you're actually giving yourself 4 minutes per question. And the moment I say I got 4 minutes to solve this question, I'm sure you'll be able to do 8 questions. Assuming that 8 minutes you're spending in wasting away your time, right? There's going to be leakage of time. So I believe, I mean, I'm a firm believer that 8 in quant, 6 to 7 in DI, and 13, 14. If your verbal doesn't work for you, there's no way you can hit that 99 percentile. I think to me it's a given fact. You can't be uh, you can't be a uh, real. I mean, that cannot be your biggest weakness, and you cannot aim at getting to a 99 percentile if verbal is your biggest weakness.
Yeah, there are solution to that.
Nah.
Jiju
And
is
Shinku,
waiting for
just
it.
to add to your point, just to add to your point, a larger trap than शायद हो जाएगा is मुझसे ये कैसे नहीं हो रहा. That
ये
ego.
अब तब तक पहुंच गया तो अच्छी बात है. अब जिस बंदे को ये लगे कि अच्छा मेरे से क्यों नहीं होता है, then I'm happy that you're at least in that mental state. I mean, this will happen, Ravi, I guess, with the slightly smarter guys or people who are more comfortable with
Yeah,
math, right? It doesn't happen with, I think, a big chunk of people.
yeah.
ये तुम्हारे
No.
साथ हो सकता है, मेरे साथ हो सकता है.
So
No,
there are a
no,
lot of
no.
questions coming specifically for sections. So what I'll do is let's quickly move to how to analyze mocks section wise. I think that's a very important thing. We've been talking a lot about that. So we can probably start off with how should you actually go ahead and analyze the VARC section of a mock. Jijo, over to you.
Analysis is with the objective identifying what is it I got to do to improve my score. So I need to understand two things. Yeah, is it issue of my competence? Yeah, is it issue of my implementation? So the only way I'll come to know, I cannot come to know just by knowing two things. I'll come to know easily. Mock score, वो तो दिखता है. Target score, वो तो पता है ना? So that those are things come to know. One of the things that I would not know is really मेरा औकात कितना है. What is my actual potential? That is the That is something that you have to find out. I think what happens typically, and this would be true for any of this stuff, is that the moment we finish a test and we got a question wrong, we can see as a wrong, the first thing that we want to do is, yes, solution. What is the solution? We jump to the solution. I think you should not look at the solution. The simple thing to do is redo all the question once again.
Correct.
एक बार पूरा कर लिया ना, तुमको रियली पता होगा तेरा एक्चुअल औकात क्या है, and then you know those gap. If, for example, in most of the cases, Avkat will be very close to target score, which means why are we
Jijo, I'll
studying
take
more?
one. I'll take 1 second. Can you
Uh,
help students understand what is the meaning of Awqat score?
Avkat score
What does
simple.
that mean?
So
Yeah.
let's look at this. Is that in the examination, I got certain questions correct, certain questions wrong, certain question I did not solve, and this would be across any of the 3 sections. कुछ correct हुआ, कुछ wrong हुआ, कुछ नहीं किया. Wrong correct multiplied by 3 minus the wrong is my eventual score. Where do I improve my score from? I would improve my score from ensuring that I make less number of incorrect ones. I will improve my score next time based on what are the questions that did not solve. उसके लिए मेरे को क्या करना है? But I need to understand one thing: should I study more, or should I implement in the examination? Is it an implementation issue, or is it a skill issue? Okay, for instance, so what you got to do is redo all the question once again. So out of the questions that you got correct, some of the questions you will understand ये तो थोड़ा fluke था, इस बार चला, अगले बार nice चलेगा. Okay, some of the questions that you got wrong, when you read the question, you got it correct the second time. What does that mean? That means it would have been a silly mistake. Some of the questions that you got wrong, when you did it once again, it is still wrong. मतलब एक तो गंदा decision. Okay, मतलब था ही नहीं होगा जाके मार किया. Okay, so this is like a bad decision first of all. Okay, but that is something that I don't know. And some of the questions that I did not attempt, the question that I did not attempt, I tried to solve it once again. If I can solve those questions, so that is missed opportunity. If I cannot solve this question, good decision. आता नहीं था, किया नहीं तूने. But at least, but that then now when I read it all the question one together, let me count the number of my score now. After my second thing, what are the correct questions that I get? That is what I'm going to call my potential score. Now let's imagine that in the VRC section, my mock score is 15. My target score, let's say I want to get to about 30. Let's say that is my target, to get 99% at this point in time. 15, 30. Now gap is about 5. You read the question once again, and in that your score is 35. What does that mean? तुम्हारा target 30 है, तुम्हारा औकात 35 है, एग्जाम में जाके तूने 15 किया. So that is like one set of solution. Let's do another one. Your mock score is 15. Your target, let's say, is 30. Your Avkat score is only 18. What does that mean? That means a very different issue, which means I need to improve my skill. I don't have the skills. Skill building has to happen. Implementation has to happen. So exactly knowing what I'm supposed, this just raises question. It doesn't give any answer to anything. But I believe that the 75% of the problem gets solved if you understand what the problem is. Right, so it's like अभी fever है, अभी पता नहीं ना fever क्या है. So वो diagnosis जो होता है, this is like going to the lab. You go into the lab. So that is what you're going to do. And once you do that, you list down question. Okay, why the deviation happened? So the question. So for example, you have a question that you got correct, but got wrong. The parabar wrong. Now correct. You made some silly mistake. Why? What happened? What was the reason? What was the behavior that happened? Did I read it fast? Did I miss something? List down. The question that I got wrong, still wrong. First of all, why did I attempt the question? What made you attempt the question? What are the gap that I got to fill? Again, so ask those kind of questions every time, and then you may not find answer to these questions, but you'll be cognizant about the issue. Then next mock, then some other thing you might have want to do a deliberate practice. You would say, okay, you might even say, okay, I can identify a pattern here. I have a pattern with respect to, let's say, inference-based question, whatever. It's a pattern that I can identify. Then I can go and address that pattern. Okay, there's a pattern. Okay, every time I have a passage on natural sciences, I get into trouble. Or for example, my pattern is that, okay, set theory question. I think for example, DILR mein, I've added the pattern. Whenever the set looks ugly, I don't attempt it. But when I come back home, I can actually solve the set. So what is the solution? Next time when you see something ugly, don't fall for looks. Okay. Okay, so that is next time you'll read a particular set. So you would have that is simply analysis, and make it very, very simple. Analysis about doing this particular process, and then uske baad na, once you did this and then you start looking at the solution, then you start looking at video, extra learning aayega tumhe. ओके, जीपी ने कुछ 3-4 जुगाड़ा, सर ये तो मतलब नया है, ये शिट, ओके ये तो सही है, ये मुझे सीखना है। एंड ये पूरा आई थिंक व्हाट शिवकू सेड, एक बुक बनाओ या व्हाटएवर, फोल्डर बनाओ, उसमें लिखना शुरू कर, राइट, लिस्ट डाउन, identify problems, identify list of problems. For example, if I give you a blank page and ask you solve this problem, there is no problem to solve. At least create problems, no? फिर उसके बाद solving शुरू होगा. Then you'll ask the right kind of question with your faculty, your mentor. You'll not ask a question like, sir, my DLR में my score is not improving. What do I do? तो क्या ही बोलेंगे, कुछ तो ज्ञान देगा तुम्हें. Okay, तो बोलेगा सर DLR में ना सर, every time I see a question which is too many data, I stop attempting. What should I do? And I've seen this, I can actually solve this question. What should I do? Then now that is a very better question to ask. And that question means that the solution that you get will be much better. So obviously you would probably require some sort of a mentor. I'm sure that you've got access to someone to ask these set of questions. Asking also the right kind of question to the mentor is important. Okay, this is what you got to do with analysis, I think, according to me.
Perfect. So Jesus kind of given a slightly holistic answer, not just limited to VARC. I think it can span across all sections. But specifically, Ravi, just a couple of pointers, I think, with respect to DILR, something that I think Jijo's already pointed out for the whole paper. Redo the
You know,
whole
I
paper.
think GB, when it comes to DILR and also to an extent to QA, what happens is I've seen a lot of students, they don't solve the questions that they got right in the paper
Oh,
after
yeah.
the paper.
Totally.
I think that is where they're missing out on redoing the question and learning something new, or finding a pattern, or reducing the number of steps the next time they attempt a question like that. I think when you analyze DILR, start with the ones that you got correct. Okay, it will give you a certain kind of confidence. Also, you will also probably learn one different way. अरे ये point अगर मैं पहले पकड़ लेता तो probably then I would have solved it faster or quicker, right? The ones that you got correct, start with those, right? Then go to the ones that you solved and you thought you could have done better, but you got incorrect, right? Because that is where there is an execution gap, right? Because that was your awqat. Because you thought, when you thought you know that, it means that you know that you made some mistake while computing or processing it. That is what might have happened most likely in DILR and Quant. Otherwise, you would not even go to that extent of attempting that question or marking an answer to that in DILR or Quant normally. In VARC, I also guess. In DILR, I don't take that risk at all normally, unless it is a theta.
Theta.
Okay. So, go ahead and make sure that you are finding that execution gap in that question, and then look at what is it that you left. Look at those questions, those sets, that why did I leave it? Did it look ugly to me, or did I feel uncomfortable looking at it, or what happened? Did you not even reach to that point during the paper? These are important takeaways that you have to take from that set, and again try to solve that also. Remember, while you're analyzing the set after the paper, don't be in a hurry that you have to solve it within 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Even if it takes 30 minutes, 40 minutes to solve it after the paper, there is time, you solve it. Okay. You make sure that you're getting it right, or you're getting it. If you're not getting it, go through the solutions. In fact, for all the questions, then go through the video solutions that are recorded, because the way GP is solving that question may be very, very different from the way that you have approached it. I mean, his starting point may have been different, or the way GB would approach a question is from picking the data points from the options that are there, from the questions that are there. You'll probably learn one new way or method of approaching that question. I think looking at the solutions right away, text solutions or the video solutions, is, again, as you just said, not advisable. First, you have to try out all the questions you got correct first, then incorrect, then go to unattempted ones, and then look at the entire 4 sets together and say, okay, next time if these 4 sets are together, or these type of questions are together, my order of preference of solving it may have been probably 4, 1, 2, and 3,
I
right?
mean,
So that
even just say
understand.
RC में when I solve it myself again, I must have a point of view of why I marked this. I must have that conviction about my own answer. Then I argue with the solution and say, oh, I didn't see that. That's when you realize. Otherwise,
Correct.
it's a very passive learning. Looking at solutions is the most passive way of learning.
इसमें ना
You
the
have
way
just
sorry Shiv, sorry please.
it's got to be a very active thing. The same thing is, for example, even quant में भी कभी लगता है कि एक तो जुगाड़ है, GP वाला जुगाड़ तो choices है. Even a conventional method, the way somebody like a Naveen or anybody who solves it, or Vipul or anybody, it might be they have their own. Even conventionally, people have different styles. If you are open to learning, there's enough that is available. If it is acha solution dekh liya or acha theek hai, when the moment you are in that passive mode, I think you are reducing your own ability to learn.
So the one thing I want to add here is, so you have to look at, instead of self, the mock is a self assessment thing. No, you're doing yourself instead of looking at self help or self prep. Think about self taught. You have to wear two
Correct.
caps. एक तो तू बच्चा है, student. As a student, you took the test. Once the test is over, you have to put a mentor cap. You are a mentor to yourself. तुमको बैठ के तुमको बोलना है ये क्या है, ये क्या है. सो उसके लिए तेरे को वापस पूरा सब करना है. सो यू आर वेयरिंग टू कैप्स. कैप एज अ स्टूडेंट, कैप एज अ मेंटोर टू योरसेल्फ. So this and another thing that you have to understand, a lot of people worry about, sir ये problem हो गया, मैं क्या solve करूं, क्या solve करूं. Mind is amazing. Your capacity, ability of mind to take intuitive solutions. No, the thing. So a lot of things that unconsciously mind has taken it in. Okay, lot many stuff. The mind has taken it in. That learning is there. And many a cases this happens when you take the, for example, VR section. Mein. You know answer is C, but you can't explain to yourself why it is C. लग रहा है C है, but मेरे को explain नहीं कर पा रहे मेरे को क्यों C है. But
Correct.
है C.
Correct.
And then I mark
Regularly.
it. I mark it. I get it right. On top of it, I fight these intuitions. अब मेरे को लग रहा है C है, नहीं होगा यार. What I लगा, then unnecessarily do analysis and then get it wrong. फॉर एग्जाम्पल इंट्यूटिवली ना DLR सेट लेके मेरे को लग रहा है यार यहाँ से शुरू करना है मेरे को. ये कहाँ से आ रहा है? ये इसलिए आ रहा है बिकॉज यू आर ट्रेनिंग एवरी सिंगल डे. सो व्हाट, so so even for example Ravi is saying there is a set that I took 50 minutes. Yeah, 50 minutes are the waste of time. What do you mean waste of time? Every single time that you're fighting with a particular step, that's a learning. Every single time you're failing solving a particular set, that is a learning. The mind is saying, okay, this doesn't work. I think that इसको ना प्रोसेस बना के करना है ना. आउटकम सोचो मत, मतलब ऐसा
I
सिट
think
एंड डू दिस.
ये जो उसका दो आउटकम है, अगर 50 मिनट्स भी if you are taking and solving it after the paper, उसका दो आउटकम है. Next time when that kind of a set appears in the paper, you'll leave, which is good. Next time you see that kind of set in the paper, you'll probably solve it under 15 minutes because now you know how to solve it, which is also good,
या
right? So दोनों कर सकते हो.
Perfect.
Jijo,
Analyzing.
just one observation that I mean every year it's the same observation. So somebody, I mean, I ask like generally guys during the PDP time, how many passages have you done while preparing for this CAT? They'll say, oh sir, I prepared 1,000 passages. Then I ask them, ki, as your GK gone up, do you look at perspectives? Do you have new perspectives? I'm always zapped because one thing that I've always found, the guys who study for civil services, they always ace their RCs. Oh, I mean, the guy cannot write probably good English or spoken English is not so great, but their ability, because there's such
Comprehension
diversity in
skills.
what they read, so somehow they are able to pick up. So somewhere this intuitiveness is an outcome of some bit of knowledge that you carry.
करेक्ट.
And so this so when you do analysis, at the end of the analysis, if I ask somebody, okay, you've finished the reading the passage, can you give me some sense of what the passage says? And if you're not able to do it, I think you've not done a great work with your analysis.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Cool. So let's move on to quant. I don't think there's anything different here. Same funda, same okats ko, same targets ko. The only one aspect I think that we can probably reiterate, something that we always talk about in quant, is I think to me it predominantly ends up being the A and A show, arithmetic and algebra. If you turn around and state, like Chifku was saying, very low chances of you scoring a 99, 99.5 if you don't do verbal at least to a certain level decently. I would turn around and state there is zero chance of you doing well in quant if you are unable to handle arithmetic and algebra for sure. So you can't be in a situation where you turn around and state, hey, everybody was telling me 50%, 40% marks in cat, 50% of total marks in cat, enough, I'm good, that's a good score. Jijo said, "Arey, good is also very relative, bad in other places is good here." That does not mean that arithmetic and algebra chhod do, baki मैं ले आऊंगा. It will not happen. Cat is one place where that is not going to happen. That does not mean, please don't take that to mean that we are saying don't do geometry, don't do numbers, don't do modern math. That's not what is being said here. What is being said is arithmetic and algebra are building blocks. They will also help you a lot in terms of especially arithmetic will help you a lot in terms of DI. It will help you improve your calculations a little. So please ensure that arithmetic and algebra, you might not like certain topics there, you might not like certain things there. Even there, my recommendation would be arithmetic and algebra. You have enough time. Ensure you put the hard yards in, study, do everything, practice as much as possible, and do not leave out geometry, numbers. Move on to that. The non-cat exams, you will find there's a lot of weightage to these areas as well, like geometry, numbers, and stuff. But arithmetic and algebra for sure. Please ensure you put your best foot forward. Yeah, over to you,
if,
Shift.
if there are too many
Ravi.
likings and dislikes, no, ऐसे एक बॉस forget about 99 percentile. बस तुमको करना है और क्या, तुमको प्यार थोड़ी करनी है. There is no question of liking or
Flirt,
disliking. I mean,
flirt
That's
करना है.
Sazia says
uh,
this, no?
you have to do it,
Yeah.
boss. You don't have an option. The moment you look at your preparation saying that I don't have an option, I have to learn. Then I think the way you approach the paper is going to be very different. You can't keep saying किसको छोड़ूं, किसको छोड़ूं, किसको छोड़ूं. You can't keep doing that.
if I ना मैंने recently वीडियो डाला था अपना YouTube चैनल में. So मैंने ना from 2017 I looked at all the questions of CAT, put them chapter wise and rank the chapters, not areas. Chapter number one, logarithm. Okay, the maximum number of questions so far is logarithm. Okay, and there is, for example, if I count the permutations, combinations as sort of
Something
one,
like this, Jijo. Something like this,
something like
right?
this. Okay, huh?
Yeah.
Something like this. I think that you have so एक तो वो the stuff is, if you look at in general number theory में 24 and time series decision में
Yeah.
there is 23 questions. If you
Correct.
consider number theory as sort of one area. Second issue, public number theory छोड़ता है, DLR में problem होता है because a lot of question of DLR is based on numbers.
Correct.
Okay,
I
okay,
think
public छोड़ता है, permutation combination उधर आके फंसता है based on permutation on numbers. Number 3,
This year,
ये
cat
तो
mean median mode, right?
median
Every
median
every slot had one set.
every slot
uh,
has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so the इधर सेट थियरी कुछ नहीं, 2 ही क्वेश्चन है, छोड़ दूंगा, उधर आके परीक्षा होता है. ओके, द नंबर 3 इज दैट these are number of question. ये नहीं बोल रहा इसमें से कितना इजी है. There could be a geometry question which you've left, which asks about side of a square is 2. What is the area? There, I'm just saying that. I mean, there are easy geometry questions to solve. I'm not saying CAT is going to ask those questions. So, if at this point in time, I think you have to be agnostic. Malab, you just don't care. Don't have any love affair to anything. I think the problem. So the problem का होता है ना, when you start deciding. So whenever you decide that when the CAT is going to give you, let's say 22 questions, you decide that 10 तो रख लो, मेरे को नहीं चाहिए. Okay, तो ऐसा पहले से तू decide करेगा ना, then the entire life is spent on solving those 12 questions. That वो unnecessary time speed is this वाला question दो तो मतलब बहुत सारा complicated भी रहता है ना, all these arithmetic questions.
Correct.
Unnecessary you spend time on 4-5 questions where there was easy question sitting. So no way you're skipping any of the any question. But yes, you are absolutely right. Is that some people say that sir I'm weak in maths, it doesn't matter whether you're weak in maths, weak in everything na. Okay, sabka at least. So you have to ensure that you solve sort of enough क्वेश्चन. प्रोबेबिलिटी इधर पूछा नहीं है सर, पूछो करूंगा नहीं, उधर आता है DLR में. ये ना रवि, सही बोला ना मैं.
Yeah, I think Jijo एक ही है, simple statement है. You cannot be choosy while preparing. You can be choosy while attempting.
In the exam. That's it.
Right? Prepare करते वक्त when you go through all types of questions or all different areas, and you practice them enough, in the exam you will be able to understand, okay, this question from triangles is in my radar. This question from triangles is not in my radar. This question from time speed distance is in my radar. This question from TSD is not in my radar. According to that, you will take that call of
So,
leaving or solving the question.
so the
You must read
triangle
the question and say मेरे से नहीं हो रहा है.
Huh?
triangle 11 है ना, पिछले go to previous slide.
Yeah.
Triangle 11 ना, go to previous slide. Triangle 11 है, simple interest percentages 10 है. मतलब you will say that arithmetic is very important, but triangle as a chapter is important ना. If I look at chapter to chapter wise also, so इसके अंदर जो छुपा हुआ है in terms of arithmetic अंदर छुपा हुआ है is individual there are consistent chapters. So, and second of all, nobody knows 2024 में होने वाला क्या है. I'm sure the cat also does not know at this point in time. I'm very.
Having said that, I think I'll just add one differing point of view, not completely because I'm in sync with mostly what we are saying, but I do believe that CAT is one of those exams where there are certain specific topics which if you feel नहीं समझ आता, नहीं पल्ले पड़ता, even if I've tried it, I've put my best effort, I just don't understand it. I think this is one of those exams. For example, 3D geometry. नहीं, मेरे को pyramid prism नहीं समझ आता. I don't understand it. It's okay, nothing will change. Life will not change. Even if it comes, it will be one question, two questions. So while we turn around and we're stating that yes, this is not the time for you to be choosy and picky and stuff like that, there could be certain elements out there, certain subtopics, like we put it down here, which you can turn around and state, I tried, nahi samajh aaya, couldn't do it, you can leave. It's okay. I would want to add that. Like, I am one of those till date who doesn't know 3D geometry. I still don't know pyramid prism.
But you do 16, no?
Correct. So I'm saying there is a
So
so I am that is exactly what I'm trying to get to. That there is a opportunity, that there is a possibility that you could be one of those as well. You don't have to turn around and state I need to do 22 out of 22. इसलिए मेरे को सब कुछ आना है.
correct,
एक दो
GV.
टॉपिक है, सब टॉपिक है, you could leave.
I'm saying that
Out of 22, you will skip some 2 or 3 because I decided
see,
you can understand 18 or 19.
So see,
I don't think
I'm saying that as a personal thing ना, I hate arithmetic. मुझे समझता नहीं है वो. अरे मुझे दिमाग चलता नहीं है मेरा arithmetic में. जैसा public का चलता है, मेरा चलता नहीं है arithmetic में. लेकिन मेरा चलता है मस्त algebra, numbers में, permutation, combination my favorite, set theory चलता है. बाकी सब अतरंगी topic मेरा चलता है. So I can actually crack this particular test with पुटा non arithmetic समझता नहीं है. मतलब वो भाग रहा है, घूम रहा है. So I am, but arithmetic is not math. I don't know why they ask arithmetic. I don't know. They're like it is not maths only. Okay. So कोई भी IIM इंटरव्यू में अरिथमेटिक का सवाल पूछता है क्या? नहीं पूछता है ना वो लोग. ओके. So
लॉग बहुत आता है, लॉग एक्सपोनेंशियल बहुत आता है.
हाँ, so ये तो मैथ्स थोड़ी अरिथमेटिक. ओके. अरिथमेटिक is what people do when they go to a shop to find discount. Okay. So the point, the only point that I'm saying is that eventually you will have your favorite and stuff. That does not mean that I don't know how to solve arithmetic. Okay. So the problem, the fundamental problem of thinking about living, for example, na ये DLR में public, I'm sure यहाँ अपना group में, I don't know how many people are watching, there'll be many would say that set theory छोड़ दिया वो लोग. उसको पता है सर ये आना है तो एक, करना है तो दो. तो मैं set theory unnecessary क्यों करूँ? तो when you these decisions ना, मैं try नहीं करूँगा कि मैं कुछ करूँगा नहीं. I think this is मेरे को inherently problematic लगता है. That I will start my preparation saying that मैं कुछ छोड़ता हूँ. तो मुझे कुछ छोड़ना है. मेरे को एक तो बोल रहा है मेरे को 50 टेस्ट सीरीज करना है एंड सेकंड साइड में बोल रहा है मेरे को छोड़ना है. क्यों कर रहा है यार 50 टेस्ट सीरीज? ओके. हाँ. So I would say that you should at least at the very least look at the kind of question that came in the CAT. At least know how to solve them. Or look at the kind of question that came in the more, at least know how to solve a few of these kind of questions. At least put in some, or at least learn what GP, at least some jugaad that I can use in this particular question to navigate and solve this. That is what I would say.
I know 10 out of those 11 questions of triangles are either based on angle bisector or Pythagoras.
similarity.
Yeah.
So it's almost दो घंटा हो गया. पब्लिक बैठा है क्या? मतलब I don't know.
Yeah.
Some left.
Yeah. I think quickly, last part, 5 mistakes to avoid during the mock analysis. I think the first one is what Jijo started this session with.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
I think it's not that people are not writing mocks anything, is that many have written and have stopped.
See, इसका statement होना चाहिए because my score is low, I am not going to stop mock. तो okay, तेरा स्कोर लो है, कम तो तेरा मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट रिसोर्स को बंद कर लिया. So score. Actually, Virat Kohli bola score ne he is not able to score in
Play
matches. He
score
decided
runs.
score runs. He decided yeah
Stop playing.
no, stop playing only for the next 1 month. I'll stop playing. घर पे बैठ के मैं थोड़ा ऐसा exercise करूँगा. फिर आके कैसे हो गया?
Correct. I think we've picked that up. So yeah, I'm not getting the desired percentile. It's too low.
It's okay.
Yeah. इसका मेरा एक सवाल है. ये ensure that देख majority are idiots है ना in general. Okay. That's a general statement I can make. See, the reason why you will succeed is that there are 100 people around you. 98 is already saying this. उसके पहले 50 people are already saying this. बस उसका decide score नहीं होगा ना. What is going to happen is they will stop. You just stand there. The mere fact that you exist and you continue the fight. तेरा बाजू वाला public ये बोल के सब बंद side से निकलने वाला है. Okay, so I am not getting a desired percentile is too low means, of course, couple of things. Don't skip. And desired percentile you don't want to get is, you know, there are certain set of people automatically वो तेरा game से निकलने वाला है. Third, of course, is do the kind of analysis and वो emoji नहीं होना चाहिए मतलब होने का नहीं.
Perfect.
Fluck.
I think all of
Okay,
them
that
kind of
way.
interlinked. I have a huge gap, score gap to fill. I think discuss that enough about
Yeah.
what it is and how you should approach that. I complete my analysis in less than 2 hours. Very
So
interesting.
first of all, वो analysis का हटा दे. हाँ? I complete some shit in less than 2 hours. वो चल कर को. मतलब ये तो analysis थोड़ी है 2 hours में. Paper is 2 hours. Okay. And 2 hours में is not able to solve all the questions. 2 hours में लेके आया मतलब 30 मार्क. 2 घंटे में. अभी बोल रहे हैं analysis. कैसे हो गया? How can you complete? First of all, the word complete, I just don't understand. We never complete anything. We just can't complete. How do I complete? What is the point in which I say that is done? I think there is no point. I think that nothing completes. No, yeah. For every DLR set that I did in one particular mock, after some point in time, I have to come back and revise. I have to redo this. I have to look at the question once again. I have to list down, okay, all my bad behaviors I've written in one particular book. I'll go back and read one every single day and say that I want to change it next time. पता नहीं कैसे होता है complete lesson 2 hours. मतलब कुछ ऐसे देख के I don't know 2 hours में.
Nah, I just think
Curly
it
hours.
happens when you just don't know what an analysis entails.
Somebody can actually complete
As simple
analysis
as
less
that.
than 2 hours if that person is getting a score out of 198, 150. अरे उसको होगा. Okay, हाँ? उसको definitely होगा ना 2 घंटे में. शायद वो analyze करना भी नहीं चाहिए. हाँ, ज़्यादा. हाँ.
Perfect. And the last, I took the test. I have learned enough.
ये नहीं
हो
होता.
गया.
I think yeah. Maybe couple of days ago I called up शिव को कि सर मेरे को ना एक डाउट है क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन में, बताओगे क्या? I've been teaching quadratic, right? But there are still some questions that surprise me today. There is no learning enough ever in your life. I mean, forget about CAT, Quant, DILR, and VRC. In life, there is no learning enough. विराट कोहली कवर ड्राइव मारते हुए बहुत बार आउट हुआ है यार. There is
वो
no
छोड़ो.
learning.
Sachin Tendulkar still practices before Legends cricket, stating, "Oh, my cover drive doesn't work properly." He's retired.
Yeah,
in
so
10
I
years.
think I don't know who makes his statement. I think I took the test. I've learned enough. Is basically saying the हो गया बस हो गया बंद करता हूँ मैं इस कहानी. I think all these 5 things that you are generally about to ask a question. How is Snap? Okay, so yeah, this is
Why you after Snap, Jijo? Why not NMAT? Why you after Snap?
Snap is the stupidest exam ever that somebody else created. Well, it's just stupid. I don't know. We should not call it. I'm just saying that.
I second it.
So anyways, these are all. See so this is the process, na. When people are in a process, why are you tripping? Why are you tripping when you are in a process? अभी चल रहा है जर्नी. तो इधर तो every day nothing happen. Basically what is happening is that you are expecting that a process है. जिंदगी में हमने कुछ पढ़ा नहीं ज्यादा, apart from what we have done. 6 hours every single day हम लाइक मारते रहते हैं इधर उधर, शॉर्ट्स देखते हैं 3 hours में. ओके, ये अपना लर्निंग है. आपने मैथ्स आफ्टर 10th स्टैंडर्ड में भी ढंग से किया नहीं, उसके बाद तो छोड़ ही दिया. DILR हमने जिंदगी में देखा नहीं है. अभी स्किल डेवलप कर रहे हैं. सो ड्यूरिंग दिस प्रोसेस वी आर ऑन अ प्रोसेस. वो प्रोसेस को तू मार रहा है ऐसे बोल बोल के. आई हैव डिसाइडेड टू स्टार्ट ड्राइविंग. पहला दिन आके ये क्या है, गाड़ी मूव नहीं हो रहा है, क्लच क्या है, ब्रेक क्या है. सो जस्ट स्टिक टू द प्रोसेस. नो, ऑटोमेटिकली दिस आर स्किल डेवलपमेंट. नो, skill develop over a period of time. You stick to the process, don't trip. And then if you do the right, I'm not asking not to ask questions, but you have to, when you keep doing the right kind of analysis, you will ask the right kind of question, you will keep moving forward. And that is what should I would say.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
just
Since
remember,
since
Mukesh,
since you pointed out, Jijo, that you've not done maths after class 10, there's a very specific question for you.
Advice in non-math. I don't know what is the non-math student, by the way.
Non-math student
Okay.
means not done
Who
math
did
after
not
class
take
10.
maths after grade 10?
After class 10.
Class
Exactly
10
what
के
you
बाद.
said. हाँ, class 10 के
Arithmetic.
नहीं किया. 11, 12, no math.
So ठीक है. Practically जिसने मैथ्स लिया ना वो भी भूल गया है. So 11 12 maths has got nothing to do with what is after the
नहीं भूल गया क्या?
CAT.
11, 12 is not relevant in CAT.
11 12 calculus and all. I don't think, I ask anybody sitting there, nobody would know what they did. And there are a lot of people who claim to be engineers. जिसको आता नहीं है मैथ्स ना.
one of my favorite questions to ask to
हाँ.
an engineer from an IIT sitting in a mock interview is, I asked him, "Acha, tell me what is an integration of tan x dx? बता." ठीक है?
हाँ,
नहीं
so
बनता.
तो वो सब छोड़. I mean that the divisibility test of 4 है ना, last 2 digit, उसका लॉजिक बता मेरे को.
क्यों है?
लॉजिक क्या है,
Yeah.
क्यों?
क्यों है, ये सवाल का जवाब नहीं हो रहा है. So I think the first of all, Mr. CAT exams or Miss CAT exam, I don't know your gender. So per CAT exams, advice to non-math student is the same advice that I'll give to math student, is the same advice that will be any set of students. What we need to do is to go the maths, at least maths that have got some structure. There are some about 30 chapters. Har ek chapter you probably take on an average about 2 hours, 3 hours to do. That's about 60 hours of study that you have to do. You have to start with the very basic, because most of the question is about foundation अगर तेरा strong है. You don't have to get into level 3, level 4, level 5 question. I mean, basic कर लो. Number 1. Number 2 is that मतलब चुपचाप every single mock लिखने के बाद GP का जुगाड़ कर लो. I think GP's जुगाड़ have saved millions नहीं बोलता हूँ, but I'm sure that at least lot of people. Okay, yeah. So I never, but when I never did all these things. When I took the CAT, when I started teaching also, after doing GP, the only thing that I see is like all the जुगाड़
Is
only
only
there
this.
in the paper. I don't feel like solving. So ये दो जुगाड़ कर लो. हाँ? That's the second जुगाड़. And then stop telling that you're bad in maths. Stop saying you're bad in math. Just do the same. I'm sure it'll be possible. I think at the end of it, they're not testing maths, problem solving only. There are a lot of different ways you can sort of look at a problem, and it's all 8th standard, 9th standard level concept. Although the question comes in a different manner. That's what.
I mean, I think, Jijo, it's also that people who haven't taken math after 10th standard have an inherent advantage because they don't have to unlearn anything. People who have taken math and एकदम ऐसे math में घुस गए, they have fixed ways of solving questions.
ये प्रॉब्लम है ना, मैक्सिमम मिनिमम देख के दिमाग बोलता है और
Differentiate. Yeah,
differentiate
that's
करो.
it.
That's all. So I think that's about it. One last question, which I think slightly relevant because we've spoken a lot about this, and somebody's actually gone ahead and put that in. Is I find it difficult to concentrate for a long period of time. So I'm understanding everything you're saying, but I'm finding it difficult to concentrate. What recommendations?
The recommendation is very simple. Why are you writing this CAT? You're writing this CAT because you want to go to IM. Why you want to go to IM? Because you want to be really rich in life. है ना? The purpose of when we are solving a reading comprehension passage, that is money. तेरा career का 10-20 साल के बाद पैसा है वो. You losing concentration for a long period of time is a choice that you made. Movie देखता है ना यार, 2 घंटा 3 घंटा में lose होता है क्या concentration? अपन मैच देखता है इंडिया क्रिकेट चलता रहता है, मतलब never ends. Okay, we watch tennis matches, अभी कभी lose होता है concentration is basically losing because you have lost something in your you lost the battle in mind. Every single passage that you see, every single DLR set that you see, every single thing that you see, it is for the purpose of eventually making a great career and making a lot of money in life. Every single passage is paisa. Every DLR set is paisa. Every single paisa. But when you are going to sit and study is paisa. I think you have to basically at the end of the day you have to fool yourself, fool your mind. Sorry, not fool yourself, fool your mind. You do not thinking things like this. So I don't have any sort of solution to it, other than saying that you have no choice. Matlab it is, people don't have lack of concentration as a general problem. That's what I would say.
No, it's only about setting priorities, boss.
Yeah. Put your phone in airline mode when you sit for practice. I think everything 2 hours will happen.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I think just to summarize, for each section, I think this slide is not visible very clearly, but just to summarize for everybody's benefit, what we've gone ahead and spoken about is for each section, just ensure that you're redoing every single question when you're analyzing. Ensure that you are analyzing mocks, going through important questions with respect to your mocks. Accuracy is something which is very, very important as well. Don't just turn around and say, I will randomly just attempt. So accuracy is also quite important. Identify the gaps, identify what the issues are, work on them. And finally, keep in mind that mock at the end of the day is just a learning tool. That's exactly where we started. Mock, there is nothing more. It's just a learning tool. Marks there are not going to define you, your career, and anything that you've done. Marks in mocks are not going to get you money, like Jijo pointed out. Marks in mocks will hopefully help you crack CAT, which is going to get you money. So that's about it from our end. There is just one last question, Jijo, from Yogesh. He's pointed it out 2 to 3 times, and he's saying, "Please take my question, Jijo sir. I'm getting 2 out of 6 correct in RC, and I'm practicing from GMAT 555 to 600 level."
Okay, let's start. I think when you say practice it from GMAT, I don't know what that means. Is it about GMAT official guide or random something
I'm
in
I'm
GMAT?
I'm, I'm
Ah,
guessing OG is what he's trying to state.
well, how is it OG में level कैसे पता?
Uh,
So
Yogesh, if you want to
No,
answer
you
that
get
while
you
Jijo is
get some
answering,
of these database of questions which say higher level stuff.
this
so
is
so
at this level. So
GMAT
GMAT
club.
club. He's saying GMAT club. So
Mm.
he's saying this
so
is 550
because
to 600 level questions.
okay, so out of 556, so same issue, no. So if you are basically saying that I've got, I don't know what is the quality of question is there. First of all, I don't know first of all why are you doing that. Please solve the CAT passages. Okay, ये तो मैं पहला बोलूँगा तेरे को. Okay, huh? So the issue with it about 2 out of 6 question correctness, for some reason you got the 4 questions wrong. You don't know what the reason is, but some reason. We need to understand why. It could be because you read the passage fast. It could be because you fell for a particular trap. It could be million reasons. So the way what you have to do is that as soon as you sort of solve a particular set, the second step that you want to do is redo the set once again. इसमें थोड़ा ढंग से हर एक passage समझ, हर एक paragraph का मेरे कर, do sort of analysis of each of the things. So if you are saying that you are taking test, for example, the site that you've gone to, you get test after test after test after test after test. I'm guessing that you are just keeping taking test after test after test. You're not stopping and learning from each of these practice exam that you do. So my suggestion would be that if you're getting 2 out of 6 at whatever level that is, okay, I need to understand why. What after the different 4 out of 6? What kind of mistake that you're making? I think that's what you got to focus on. Chalo.
Perfect. I think that's
Excellent.
about it,
Okay.
guys. Thanks a
Right. Good
lot.
night, guys.
Good night, everybody, and keep writing mocks, keep analyzing, and all the very best. We'll keep catching you up here. Watch this space for more. There is lots more that's coming on YT. See ya.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Good
Bye
night.
bye. Chalo, good
Good
night.
night. Good night.